Good afternoon, everybody. It's gone 3:30, and we're now ready to have our 1 hour of coffee and looking at skills that we need to think about in our research journey. Today, Professor Emil Cormith will be talking on different approaches to the literature review. It's not very often that people are explicitly taught that a literature review can take many formats. So the act of literature reviewing is one thing, but writing up a literature review can be anything. It can be part of an article. It can be part of a proposal. It can be a final write-up showing gaps in the literature, etc. And different approaches to the literature fulfill different reasons. So we've asked Professor Emil Cormith, who was a colleague of mine until I left his department and he left the university, to talk about it, because we've had a long history of looking at research together. So Emil, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. And I'm going to hand over to you.
Me because I now got a list how to.
Okay, we can see your screen. Do you actually have your PowerPoint open?
Yes, no, I don't have an open PowerPoint.
Okay, so just shut everything down and stop sharing, then open, it on your desktop and then reshare.
Yes, open it and then put share.
So yeah, stop sharing, go to stop sharing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
okay
then we can see it. Yes, we can see it. You just have to put it on the show version at the top. Yeah,
it's okay now. Yes,
but we're seeing it in your edit version. We're not seeing the entire screen. So if you go to the bottom where it says notes, the bottom of your screen where it says notes, right at the bottom under literature review.
No, I did something wrong. Something wrong. No. What is this?
I think just share your screen again.
Okay, moment. Where it is? Moment, share screen. But share and
right. And at the bottom, you can see your PowerPoint is open, right at the bottom of your screen.
Yes, moment.
Yeah. Okay. Now just beneath where your cursor is, just go down.
Yes.
Go down and move slightly to the right.
And
click there. There we go. There we go. Thank you.
Hurrah! Hallelujah, brothers. Okay, now you see it, Colin.
Yes, we can see it clearly. Yeah.
Okay. So what time, how much you give me? 1 hour approximately.
We've got an hour together. If you finish earlier, it'll leave some time for discussion, but you've got an hour. Yeah.
Okay, good. So may I start or still wait?
No, we can start right now. Thank you.
We can start. Okay. So please allow me to do some introduction. Yeah. What I want to stress on the beginning is that building your research on relating it to existing knowledge is the building block of all academic research activities, regardless of discipline. Therefore, to do so accurately should be a priority for all academics. However, this task has become increasingly complex. Why? Because knowledge production within the field of any research is accelerating today at tremendous speed, while at the same time remaining fragmented and interdisciplinary. A literature review can broadly be described as a more or less systematic way of collecting and synthesize previous research. An effective and well-conducted review as a research method creates a firm foundation for advancing knowledge and facilitating theory development. Then why we should write a literature review. Basic question. Consideration of prior relevant literature is essential for all research discipline and all research project. When reading an article independent of discipline, the author begins by describing previous research to map and assess a research area to motivate the aim of the study and justify the research question and hypothesis. The literature review. In your literature, what should be? Yeah? Literature requirements for each type dependent on the field of discipline that the topic falls under. Yeah? The literature review should clarify, evaluate, define, identify, clarify your understanding, evaluate the results of previous research, define key concept, and identify research in related areas and relevant methodological issues. What is the importance of literature review? It is not necessary for literature review to be independent documents. Sometimes it is an addition to another body of work, such as research paper. In case like this, a literature review is included so that author can summarize the sources they use for their research before explaining their research in more detail. But it can be independent work, which is often the case for academic writing. The purpose is to gain, debate, and present the knowledge. What are the 4 major goals of literature review? There are several purposes for literature review. The most common reason why people write literature review is to be familiar themselves with certain topics. Reviewing several sources and do a summary of them is a good way to learn and remember information about the subject. Similarly, writing a literature review can help others learn about the topic. Providing a summary of several sources gives another reader basic knowledge about the subject from various points of view. Another reason for literature review is to identify areas where there are gaps in research. Reviewing a wide range of sources helps both the writer and the reader notice parts of the subject that have a little or no research. This also helps researchers pinpoint what areas need more study. Researchers may provide a literature review so that their followers can understand why they choose to do further research on a certain part of the topic. Other reasons for writing literature review are to give credit to researchers who have previously written about a topic and to show the correlation between several sources. Literature reviews are often helpful for people who have only a certain or minimum amount of time to learn as much as possible about the topic. The benefit of having access to a review of several sources is that the learner gains information quicker than they would if having to read through each source individually. They are shortly able to become familiar with a topic in particular field. What is most common type of literature? In social science, it is integrative review. Yeah? So it means you address related or identical hypotheses in problems. Yeah? Well done integrative review meets the same standards as primary research. Types of review can be rapid review. If you are under some time pressure, it could be scoping review, may include research also in progress. And then we have state-of-the-art review. The aims here is for comprehensive searching of current literature. Then is a question for your side. Is literature review qualitative or quantitative? My answer, you can argue again, my answer is that literature review is neither qualitative nor quantitative method. But if we're looking in the different field for related works, we can find study which can fall more under qualitative design, and another studies, they fall under quantitative design. Yeah. What is an approach? Most common approach is mixed approach in research. Yeah? Under mixed method, we understand that researcher or person who is writing this literature review and looking for information combine both quantitative and qualitative data within the same study. Yeah? Mixed method research is an approach that combines these two methods. What is interesting, and I put it here, how it is when it's put in some graph and some picture. Yeah, we can see that by mixed method research, the final yield of information is relatively small. I put here, we have approximately 386 records, which can be found and put under umbrella of MMR. Yeah. When we look more closely and do some selection, then only 84 are under common definition. Next, more search, more selection, only 65 articles they self-identify as mixed method research. And on the end, where we can find this integration, these two methods, it's only 50 articles. So you can see that the yield from nearly 400 articles is 50. It means that 1 to 7.5 and 1 to 8, yeah, is suitable report for us. What are the different types of literature in research? We have a research literature. It can be journal articles, books, different publication, different methodology. Then we have a theory-based literature. Then in humanities are philosophical literature. Then we have a empirical or practice-based literature. We have to include also in this literature search statistical reports and also gray literature. If we looking on sources, we can put our sources in 3 categories. Yeah? Primary, secondary, tertiary. In primary are reports, then we're looking for some similar theses. Then we are running via different conference proceedings. Yeah. We also can use unpublished manuscript. And if we are write some in area which also has impact in maybe in communities, yeah. So we need look for government publication as well. Yeah. It's a primary. Secondary is source is journals. There are journals, there are books. Also, we can look in newspapers, and again some government publication. And the tertiary, which is maybe faster, just to do for orientation, they are abstracts. there are bibliographies, there are catalogs, we can use dictionaries, we can use encyclopedias, and also we can use indexes. Yeah? So please be aware, we have 3 different sources of for our literature review. Types of literature review. In general, we can see in on this field about 6 different types of literature review. It is argumentative review, integrative review, historical review, methodological review, theoretical review, systematic review. I will run just briefly through all of these 6. Argumentative review. Most important is that the purpose is to develop a body of literature that establish a contradictory viewpoint. So it means it is quite selective literature review, because you are either refute or support argument. Yeah. So it means, but this one weak point of argumentative review. If we compare argumentative review, which is quite under selection, with systematic review, which is a broader review, then we can introduce problems of bias. Yeah? If we do some summary from argumentative review and what we can receive from systematic review. Integrative review is a review which try to synthesize or put together critiques and different topics. So it means that you create a new frameworks. Yeah. Yeah. So it means, again, like very similar to the systematic review, you include all studies that address related or identical hypotheses. A well-done integrative review meets the same standards as a primary research with regard to this clarity or replication. Yeah. Historical review, it is either, I don't know if I put it correctly, but this historical review or could be a part of systematic review, because we are coming to, we're starting with where are the roots of this problem. Yeah. For instance, if we doing some historical review in immunogenetics, transplantation immunology, and so on, we are starting with Sir Medavar, or Professor Hašek in Prague, and we are tracing this evolution up to date, transplantation. So it means you are creating some evolution path of particular discipline. So it means that the purpose is to place research in a historical context to show the familiarity with state of the art developments. And also this historical review, or this part of your maybe systematic review, when you put this historic, we can call it part of this review, it helps you to maybe identify next direction for future research. Then we have a methodological review, which is, I think, more for humanities, because review does not always focus on what someone said, content. They are not on content, but how they said it, method of analysis. So it means it helps in humanities, for instance, highlight many ethical issues. which we should be aware of and consider as we running through our study. Yeah? Then is a theoretical review. Yeah? This aim of is establish used and establish some system in theories. They are relevant to your problem. They are relevant to current theories. Yeah, and are you help you maybe to explain research problem. Yeah. A theoretical framework is used to limit the scope of the relevant data by focusing on specific variable. Yeah, this is a big part of this theoretical review. Yeah, because you are already working with theories that already exist, and you are just looking on relationship or the interaction between them. Yeah, and look to what degree the existing theories have been investigated. Yeah, and then you try to develop a new hypothesis. And the last one from the sixth is a systematic review. Yeah, a systematic review is, I think, is a with regards to your work. If you are embarked on this system of review, is most time consumption and exhausting. I put it here that typical is a cause and effect form as a to what extent does A contribute to B? But between A and B is a huge area you should investigate. Yeah? The systematic review is extremely time consumption review because you are running through everything. Yeah? Here is an example. If we embark on systematic literature review process, yeah, then we run into database, we can find, for instance, 60,000 records. Yeah, they are linked to some words and to some your ideas. On the end, if you look, is it only 47 articles which are useful, because between 60,000, nearly 60,000 and 47 is a lot of not only duplication, the papers, but there is a majority, a vast majority irrelevant titles we found. Yeah, and when we're coming down, only about 100 full text article we can exclude it, and then final yield is only 47 articles. What are the strategies for developing the theoretical framework? We have to examine thesis title and research problem. Then we have to find what are the key variables in our research. Yeah. Then we have a review all this related literature to find answer to our research question. Yeah, and then construct variables that might be relevant to your study. Therefore, even this 6 type of research review, doesn't matter which of them you choose for your study. Yeah, I'm sure that you must do some modification in construct. You must do some modification how to use this form of literature review. If we are looking and we identify the research problem, how we have to start? we look for research problems that need to be addressed. Then we must write about this problem in the opening passage of our study. And as a reader, find the rationale for why the study of another researcher or researchers is important for me, and why I need to read his or her study. This is the first step, this identification. There are three parts of literature review: introduction, the body, the conclusion. In definition, if you look in some encyclopedias and so on, a literature review is a survey of scholarly sources on a specific topic. It should provide a critical overview of current knowledge, allowing you to identify relevant theories, methods, gaps, even gaps in existing research. So if you look introduction, the introduction should clearly establish the focus and purpose of literature review. There must be definition of your topics and setting your scope. If there is anything you aren't planning to include in your analysis, mention it here, yeah, in this introduction. The second part is a body. The body should contain a summary and a critical evaluation of each source, focusing on the research design and conclusion. You can structure your body in different ways. Chronological, traces the development of your topic over time. Yeah. Thematic, organizes discussion of your topic around central themes. Then it could be methodological, analyze the different methodological approaches have had on your topics. And there is a theoretical, discuss how different theoretical perspectives come together in support of or against your research. The third part is conclusion. In your conclusion, you should summarize the key findings you have taken from the literature and emphasize their significance to your topics. Be sure to clearly restate your topic and scope, so it's clear to your reader why the literature you reviewed is relevant to your research. The process of conducting a literature review, we have here 4 basic steps: designing the review, conducting the review, analyzing, and writing. That's 4 basic steps. Phase 1, designing the review. This includes selecting search terms, an appropriate database, inclusion and exclusion criteria. In terms of research quality, deciding on inclusion or exclusion criteria is one of the most important steps when conducting your review. Yeah? You must be, with your supervisor, well aware where and is this tiny line, red line between inclusion and exclusion criteria. Yeah, because then this criteria could be, as I told, type of article or language of article, year of publication, also the quality of particular journal you are investigator and you have this article from particular journal. What is the quality? How is rated this journal? We have a journal, they are very low quality, and we have a journal with very high quality. And it is also very important if by this your activity, how to design the review. Then phase 2, conducting the review. Yeah. Then are 3 different approach. Yeah. Reviews, as a reviewer, you may read each piece of literature that appears is good for you, but this is extremely time consumption approach. Second option could be just to focus on the research method or findings. Yeah? And the third, maybe the fastest, is look into abstracts. Yeah? And how attractive, yeah, in brackets, and attractive is contents of abstracts, then you are doing decision. It has a sense to read full text article or reject it. Yeah. And in addition, strategy references in the selected articles can be scanned to identify, yeah, which is relevant and not potentially relevant. Third phase is analysis. Yeah. What is important? Yeah. Data abstracted can be in descriptive information such as authors, years of when it was published, topics, type of study, and the form of effects and findings. Yeah. Depending on the review, different analysis method can be used. Yeah. It is appropriate to answer the selected research question. Yeah. This analyzing part is quite interesting part, because then you are playing like with card with regards authors and years of published. You have a different criteria included or excluded. If you are embarked on some historical, then you will take nearly everything, or at least most important article in some decades. For instance, you can go back 50 years if it's something very interesting topic. Yeah, and create some evolution of particular topic by this third phase, by analyzing. And then is a phase 4, writing the review. Yeah. Literature review, as I mentioned, can result on historical analysis, on agenda for further research, on a conceptual model or categorization, or on evidence on an effect. Yeah. What you should write in literature review. Yeah. Relevant literature is essential for all research discipline and all research projects. Yeah, it's no doubt about it, and it's not for some opposition. Yeah. The value of an academic review depends on what was done, what was found, and clarity of the reporting. Yeah. You can have different strategies and standards and guidelines. It's what is the purpose of the review. Yeah. For several research questions, a literature review may be the best methodological tool to find and provide answer. Yeah. As I mentioned, there are many forms of literature review, and elements from different approaches are often combined. Yeah, as I mentioned, doesn't matter what type of literature review is in your hand, what you choose, you must do some new approaches or some modification. Yeah, some adaptation for particular research projects. Different approaches to conducting a literature review. There are numerous existence of literature review. Yeah, it means that, but from all these, if we create groups, we can put in through 3 groups: systematic review, semi-systematic review, integrative review. Any or under some condition, all these review strategies can be of significant help to answer a particular research question. First, systematic literature review. What is it, and when should we use it? Systematic review is most useful within medical science. This integrative, I told, is good for social science. Yeah, this is for medical science most useful literature system or sort of literature review. Yeah, a systematic review can be explained as a research method and process for identifying and critically appraising relevant research, as well as for collecting and analyzing the data from different research. Yeah, so it means the goal or aim is identify all empirical evidence that fits pre-specified inclusion criteria to answer a particular research question or a hypothesis. What type of analysis can be conducted? I think most prevalent is so-called meta-analysis, a statistical method of combining results from different studies to weight and compare and to identify patterns, disagreements, relationships. Yeah? A major challenge lies in assessing the quality of research findings. Be aware of it. Yeah? A strict systematic review process is used to collect articles, and then a qualitative approach is used to assess them. What is a potential contribution from a systematic review? We can determine whether an effect is constant across studies, yeah, and discover what future studies are required to be conducted to demonstrate the effect. Why the systematic review is so important? Because it gives us opportunity, especially in health science, for instance, yeah, to combine and compare different results from different world areas in this systematic review. Then we have a semi-systematic review. Yeah, this semi-systematic review. What is important? Looks at how research within a selected field has progressed over time, or how a topic has developed across research tradition. Yeah. This semi-systematic review provides an understanding of complex areas and is covering broad topics and different types of studies. Yeah? So it means the semi-systematic review you can use if you combine, for instance, different studies from different groups, various groups within diverse discipline. Yeah, so it means you are in health area, yeah, but to health area is regards topics, there are ethics and other philosophical and ethical issues, are people from humanities, or sociology, for instance, psychology. Yeah, so it means the semi-systematic review, you can combine various or findings or results of various groups of researchers within different disciplines. Yeah, within and you can cover different types of studies. What type of analysis can be conducted. This type of review is usually followed by a qualitative analysis. Yeah, there are several methods can be used to analyze and synthesize findings from a semi-systematic review. Yeah, and this type of analysis can be useful for detecting terms, theoretical perspectives, or common issues within a specific research discipline. Then we have integrative review. It is very closely related to semi-structured review approach. Yeah, it is, I think, we can tell critical review. We do some critical approach. Yeah, has a bit different purposes compared to this semi-structured review. Yeah, so it means you should synthesize literature and research topics in such a way, and you can do a critical assessment. Yeah, that you are able to create a new theoretical frameworks. So it means you can then address mature topics, or maybe you can address a new emerging topics. Yeah. The purpose is to overview the knowledge base, yeah, and expand the theoretical foundation of specific topics. What type of analysis we can find here? The general aim of the data analysis is in an integrative review is to critically analyze and examine the literature and the main ideas and relationship of an issue. What is a potential contribution for this integrative review? It can enhance and advance knowledge, our knowledge, yeah, and can create theoretical frameworks. It is not just simple overview or description of research area. How then is a question how to decide and what approach to use. The research question and specific purpose of the review always determine the right strategy to use. I think from my point of view, and also I use for help Hannah Snyder, yeah, presentation, that the systematic review is perhaps the most accurate and rigorous approach to collect articles, because there is a certainty that all relevant data have been covered. Yeah. This approach requires a narrow research question. Why narrow research question? Just come back to this slide when I show the 60,000 articles we should investigate, and we came to the end to 47. So it means if you create a big step ahead, then you will be in trouble in the term of time. You will be under time pressure. Yeah, yeah, and therefore is not feasible or even suitable for all types of projects. But on the other side, yeah, it gives us the most accurate information if we are able to run from 60,000 to 47. Yeah, yeah. I think we can develop an own standards and detailed plan that literature we are looking for is covered, and that this our search and our decision, which type of literature and how many papers from different journals we are using, is able to answer our research question and is transparent in this process. What is important question when we consider to create a literature review? I think we have there about 4 phases. Phase number 1 is design. This review needed, and what is a contribution of conducting this review? Then is question, what is a potential audience of this review? Then next question, what is a specific purpose and research question this review will be addressing? What is an appropriate method to use of this review specific purpose? What is a search strategy for this specific review, including search terms, database, inclusion, exclusion criteria, and so on? Yeah? The first phase is design. What is on your mind? How you want to design this review? The second phase is conduct. Yeah? Does the search plan develop in phase 1 work to produce an appropriate sample, or does it need adjustment? What is a practical plan for selecting articles? How will the search process and selection be documented? Another important question. And how will the quality of the search process and selection be assessed? Is in this conduct phase. Third phase is analysis. Then we put a question. What type of information needs to be abstracted to fulfill the purpose of a specific review? What type of information is needed to conduct the specific analysis? Third question, how will reviewers be trained to ensure the quality of this process? And what is very important, how will this process be documented and reported? All these 4 questions, as they are under umbrella of analysis. And phase 4 for us, structuring and writing the review. When you run through first 3 phases, then is this final phase. And then is are the motivation and the need for this review clearly communicated? What standards of reporting are appropriate for this specific review? What information needs to be included in the review? Question is also, is the level of information provided enough and appropriate to allow for transparency, so the readers, somebody who will judge you, who will evaluate your literature review, can judge the quality of the review? Is the result clearly presented and explained? And the final, is the contribution of the review clearly communicated? There are, I think, the last important question. In general, if we look again on literature review, I want to repeat, literature review consists of the following parts: introduction, body, conclusion, and I forgot the 4th part, reference list. Please, this reference list can break your neck if your reference list will be not adequate what is in a literature review. That's everything from my side. Thank you for attention.
Emil, thank you so much for an in-depth and scholarly approach to literature reviewing. I think we've got 10 minutes for questions. So I'm going to just say anybody who wants to ask a question, I cannot see all hands on the front of my screen. So just unmute and ask. I think an important thing to mention, Emil, and see if you agree with me, is there's a difference between the act of keeping up with your literature reviewing, that any scholar should be consistently reviewing their literature. And I see that from you. I mean, almost every week I get half a dozen articles from you because you are scanning the literature, keeping me up to date with the genetics, etc. That is the act of literature review. And if you're going to be a scholar, you have to do it consistently. And if you're a real scholar that really wants to do it well, you will journal it. And I really want to get there. I'm aspiring to that. And then there's the act of writing up the literature review.
Yeah. Yes, you know, Colin, I have one advantage against you. I am much older than you. I am patient. I have a time and passion daily run what is a new. Yeah. Therefore, I apologize sometimes. Maybe I sending you irrelevant, something which is not completely in your interest. Yeah, but it is a I know how to say it, mutilation of pension. Yeah, that I have a time, yeah, and and I compensate my work in garden with another activity. So I sit and look. If I am not so productive in laboratory, yeah, and so on, at least keep some theoretical, because I remember when it was in previous century, as a young lecturer, I met Professor Sekla in Prague in corridor on the Genetic Institute. He was at this time 82 years old, but still working in counseling. Yeah, and I don't remember what it was about. It was about some cell culture. Yeah, and I met him on this huge corridor, and I thought, Prof, did you know what is a new? And I report to him, and he had this long hand. Yeah. It's a big corridor with big windows, and sunshine was coming in. He wrapped me around my arm and told me, my boy, I'm too old to understand it. And look outside, what a beautiful day. Why to destroy it? So I am not in 82, so at least I try to understand, sometimes maybe difficult, yeah, for me, from genomics, but I try to keep some knowledge, what is new in literature, at least. Yeah, and I think this young adept for doctoral degree, yeah, should daily sit, yeah, and look, what is a new? It is relevant to me, or is not relevant to me, or approach supervisor, yeah, and say, look, I find something like that. It can modify our theory. It can contradict our ideas, and so on. Don't scare, contradict own ideas. Opposite. It's good because it will sharpen your mind. Yeah, how to overcome this obstacle. Therefore, please study. Look, if you have a time and you have a passion for a particular discipline, look, what is a new? What is a new? At least in abstract.
I'm going to make a further comment on that, but Helene has her hand up. Helene, will you unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I decided to put it in the chat. So my question was, I observed different types of literature review that were listed in the presentation, but I couldn't find scooping a review. So my question is, under which category scooping a review found in those research types of research review?
Scoping review. Where can when I can put it? Maybe scoping review, because in scoping review we also running. We select some topics in not broad, not in a very broad area. So maybe they can put it.
I can pick up on that.
Yes.
The purpose of the scoping review is to show gaps in the literature.
Gaps literature.
And that is why it's become extremely popular as part of the PhD thesis to do a scoping review. Because if you can show at the beginning of your thesis that you've established where the gaps are and your research that follows on in the thesis fits into those gaps, then it shows that you've truly engaged with the literature.
Maybe in this argumentative review, yeah,
it could be, but you're basically just reporting what literature is out there, and then showing that your research is going to fill the gaps that is currently not reported.
Okay.
So I get all my students to, when they do PhDs, to do a scoping review, because it doesn't take as long as a systematic review. As you pointed out, Emil, a systematic review can just take up your life.
It's a time,
but whereas
I can do a systematic review. I can do it every time.
But a scoping review, the actual data collection can happen in one day. So, but the point in a scoping review is to make sure that you've designed it well. And that's why I get my students to play. They must play with the databases. And only when they've really got an idea of what literature is out there and they've refined their keywords and their Boolean terms and their research question, do we actually sit down and do the search. And then once the search is done, that's it. It's done. It's done in one time point, and then we go through the entire body of the literature to reduce the numbers, and then we write up, usually in a thematic way. So that is where
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. The other question is it possible to do a scoping review alone? If, for example, maybe the supervisor is not interested, can a student just do it alone?
The methodologies that come from Oxy and O'Malley require that you are a team. And if your supervisor can't be part of it, find somebody else. Because when it comes to sifting through the articles that you want to keep or reject, you actually need another mind to say, but maybe we should keep this for this reason, or no, I don't think you should keep it for that reason. So there should be a lot of consideration of the what do you call it? The criteria for you to retain or to reject, and that's not really possible to do alone. That's why I always try and do it with my students. And if my students find another specialist to do it with, even better. So to me, the best team is me as the supervisor, because I know where the thesis is going, the student who's got the topic, and another subject specialist who can guide the thinking, so that we're not rejecting things on our ignorance, because we're all ignorant at a certain level. So to have a team of 3, to me, works very well.
Yes, I agree. It is triplet like in DNA.
Thank you very much. How can one find a subject specialist?
Who have you read a lot about recently? Who writes a lot in your area? Have a look at the authors. Have a look at who else in your department is interested in what you're doing. Okay,
thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Okay, are there any other questions? I was going to comment on what you said, but I forgot what you said. I'm also getting old, Emil. What were your closing comments? Oh, I think we were talking about doing a daily.
Some search.
If you are serious about being a researcher, and let's face it, I know that not many people are. They just want to get the PhD and get out. But if people are serious about being researchers, they will read daily. And the technologies we have now just make it so easy.
Fantastic.
You can go onto Google Scholar, you can create alerts so that whenever there's anything that's being published in your area, you get an email that you can click on and access the article, read the abstract. And frankly, if you only read an abstract a day and at the end of the week select an article out of the best abstracts, by the end of the year, you've got an incredible knowledge of your area. I mean, it's not possible at the pace of our life to read several articles a day. It's really isn't, but you can keep up with the literature.
I just want to,
there is a person,
shortly, just this is abstract. I daily receive from different sources a lot of information. And really, I create for myself some database abstract.
Yes.
And then if something informative for me, something for the future as well, then I come back and open this journal, open this article. But keep some, as you mentioned, what is very good advice for all students that are in doctoral academia, keep some abstract database. So you can,
and you can
it's
do
easy,
that.
it's not so big.
Amazing software.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, to be able to do it. You've got Zotero, you've got Mendeley.
Yes.
EndNote's not my favorite. Just remember, EndNote you lose access to as soon as you no longer registered. Whereas Mendeley and Zotero, you still keep your databases.
Yes.
Okay, we have a hand up from Galaxy. Who is Galaxy?
That's me, Prof. Colleen. That's me, Prof. Colleen Shavila. How are you?
Shavila. Very well. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I'm well. Thank you, Prof. Emil, for just so clearly pointing out how a literature review should be actually designed and done. I just want to go a bit deeper. You spoke about scoping reviews now that the speaker asked the question, and then you went into systematic reviews. So how does a systematic scoping review design work out?
There are two different kinds of reviews.
You can combine these two reviews. Because they are water and fire. Because in scoping review you set some boundaries. Within these boundaries you are moving. You are searching. Scoping put everything on your head. And then you have to run through all those information where maybe 90%, 95% is ballast. Is something not relevant. But scoping, you are more focused.
And the scoping review, it takes a lot less time. The technique you use is different, and very often a scoping review leads to a systematic review. And a very important thing to remember when we do literature reviews is we only have access to the English literature mainly. Very often there's some very good literature that comes from South America that's in Portuguese and Spanish, from Russia in Russian, from China in Chinese. We don't get to see that when we look through PubMed and Cielo and all our databases. So be very aware that when you're doing a review, you're only looking at a fraction of the literature that's available. I do, however, take some consolation in the fact that even people in those countries, if they have a very important point to make, they will publish it in one of the big journals like Lancet, BMJ, NAGM, etc. Emil?
I want just to continue with your warning. I want to stress that despite the fact that English language is lingua for journals, research journals, but be aware that today 25 or 26% of top published information are coming from Chinese, not from USA. 26. from USA maybe 24, then 5% from England and Germany. Yeah. So I don't know if our grandparents will learn Chinese language, because it is a question of time when the dominant power will say, sorry, if you want something to know as dominate to the English language, maybe Chinese. Nobody knows.
And
The
there
same
are
in
some,
Russian.
yeah. If you are doing a systematic review and you come across things, there are Google tools to do translations, but be very careful because they can change them. The translation software
Yes.
can change the meaning of certain things.
Meanings. Yeah.
Are there, we've gone past our 1 hour. Are there any other burning questions? I think everybody's enjoyed today's talk. And the other point
Thank you.
I wanted to make is when you get into doing literature review, it's actually fun. I just love it when I get new literature, when I can read an abstract, see something new. It's so enthralling that's part of the rewards of being in academia. I see Tamlin, you've got a question. We'll let you speak and then we'll close the meeting. Tamlin?
No question, just a hand clap. Thanks so much. It was
Oh,
really useful.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And we'll see you all next week at the same time and the same place. Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a
Okay,
lovely
bye-bye.
evening.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.